Welcome to the Celestial Whispers podcast.
Hello.
Are you listening? Hello. Yes. So I'm actually really excited for us to talk about our story of how our stories were connected before we actually met.
I love this because it's only something that we really discovered like recently.
Now. Well, like we knew the connection, but it's like really realizing that we actually had to have this connection and do a certain amount of healing and have a certain amount of experiences before actually coming together.
Absolutely. And if we hadn't have gone through those grieving, horrific times and did the healing that we did separately, it could never have brought us together.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
So grateful.
I love 6 degrees of separation vibes.
Oh, 100%.
Like, it's so awesome. We saw the same holistic counsellor when we didn't know each other in Narangba, or wherever she was at the time. Kalanga at the time. And we would have crossed paths at some point.
Absolutely.
Going there.
That's the thing, is we ended up meeting then
July 2021 was when we met.
And thankfully my room was like the room that everyone walked past. So, you know, as you came in to start your shift, you had to go past my room first. And so I would leave my door open. And that's how we ended up then connecting, is that you found yourself wandering into my room and we just start talking. Yeah. And then we're like, oh, fuck, we got clients waiting.
And it just grew from there.
Yeah.
The morning of my appointment, I got a phone call from the owner saying that she was very sick and she wasn't going to be able to do my appointment, but she had got someone else to come in and cover her if that was okay. And that was the holistic counsellor that we ended up seeing. Yeah. And then after the Reiki session, she mentioned like, hey, I've noticed that there was a lot of grief that I needed to process through. And she offered her services as a holistic counsellor for me. And that changed my life. Seeing things from a different perspective, not seeing a typical psychologist and doing it the typical therapy way. Yeah. She was a person who had been through her own stuff, and she just really helped me understand where to place things, how to move through things. I saw her for probably a year, maybe less, and I did my level 1 Reiki with her, and that's where it all started.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
So then I started seeing the same holistic counsellor. So to help process through the grief of my mum, because I'd seen a whole bunch of mainstream counsellors, it just didn't resonate. Like, I'd do the things that they said to do, and, you know, you'd go for your 6 weeks and they'd give you homework to do, and I felt no different. I felt no better, no worse. I just didn't find it effective. And then I'd been seeing a friend of mine who's also a naturopath whilst I was pregnant, and she recommended that I see this holistic counsellor, give it a go. And honestly, within one session, I only had a single session. Yeah. And I walked out of there with this weight off my shoulders because she got through to me. So rather than sitting in that very clinical space of white walls and your clipboard and stuff, you know, she had her beautiful, like, sort of mandala-y Ayurvedic throw across the table, and she had her crystals, and she was sitting with her legs crossed, and she was swearing like I was, and was just mirroring the energy that I needed. She was just being herself. Yeah. And in that one session, she really honestly helped me to understand that the deep level of grief I was experiencing and holding on to after losing my mum was self-inflicted. And that was a game changer for me, because she's like, look, no one is sitting there holding a gun against your head saying, you need to feel this way. Because what I was saying to her is that the level of trauma I went through caring for my mum through her final years of cancer, it was so traumatic. Yeah. So, you know, we were given a 6-week diagnosis, and being an
as in, like,
for mum to live
6 weeks.
6 weeks. So this was mum's like 4th bout of cancer.
Wow.
And we're given 6 weeks to live. And as like a naturopathic student back then, I was like, oh, I can't just sit around and watch her die. Like, that just wasn't an option. You know, we're healers. We can't just sit around and do nothing. And so myself, my brother, and mum's partner all got together, and we worked literally around the clock.
Wow.
Like, around the clock, where you're working until you fall asleep. So it was pushing ourselves to the limit because we were so desperate to save that. But we did turn a 6-week diagnosis into 6.5 months.
Wow.
So she was able to say her goodbyes. But during that time, she quickly became a paraplegic, and then because of the tumours, she became a quadriplegic. So we had to try and figure out how to care for her, like using hoists and swings, and there wasn't a lot of supports back then like there is today. Yeah. And, you know, if you think about like someone who doesn't have control over their body, Like bathrooms are messy, you know, like you don't have control over your bowels, and then that gets stuck on things. And we literally just had to like clean and trim and do everything to help keep her comfortable and hygienic. And she lost like so much dignity. Like she was trying to preserve it, but it's like, Mum, this is what we're here for.
Yeah.
We are here, and that makes me emotional. We're here to just love you.
Yeah. However you need to be loved.
And that part, like even just talking about keeping someone clean, that's the part I don't normally tell people because they don't want to usually hear the gross stuff. But I realise there's so many people out there who are doing that.
Yeah, it's so important.
Where you see parts of your family that you don't usually see.
Yeah.
But you do it out of love.
Yeah.
And going through that level of trauma was so... Honestly, it was so hard in the moment because you're so desperate to save someone. But it ingrained this deep level of grief that I held on to because I wanted someone then to understand how I felt.
Yeah.
And so my dad still had both his parents at that point. My brother is the only person who knew exactly how I felt because he cared for his mother as well. So but he didn't want to talk. And you can't force someone to talk either. It was so traumatic what we went through. We had to process it in our own way.
Of course.
So I was holding on to that feeling for years, like I need someone to understand how I felt. I need someone who went through exactly what I went through so then I can feel validated and I can feel like, oh, someone finally understands me.
Yeah.
But then seeing this holistic counsellor, just her saying that to me, it's like no one is holding it against you.
Yeah.
Like you literally are choosing, and she said it in a way that just got through to me. It's like you're choosing to stop yourself from healing because you feel like you need to find someone else who knows exactly how you felt.
Yeah.
She's like, no one else knows how you felt except for your brother, and he doesn't want to talk about it. So you have a choice to continue to hold on to that, or you can let it go.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, and I could just
Let
breathe.
it go.
Oh, like seriously, it was just, I'm so fucking grateful she said it to me. And I'm grateful she said it to me in the blunt, loving way that she did because it got through to me.
That was honestly one of my favorite things about her is she spoke the way that she healed, the way that she helped was just like a friend sitting at the restaurant. It wasn't like a clinical situation where you felt you were less than them because they were telling you how to get better. It was like, nah, like happened. You've got to grieve, but you get to do it on your own terms. And it just grew from there.
Yeah.
I love 6 degrees of separation vibes.
Oh, 100%.
Like it's so awesome.
I go and start my own business, I have my own family, and then find myself going, and I just spotted this job, and it was so easy. Like I knew when I applied for it that it was my job. I could just feel the energetics of it and got it straight away. There's like 5 other naturopaths apparently who applied at the same time.
Wow.
And they were just like, no.
Well, I'm grateful you got it.
Yeah, and then you knew the practice manager.
This particular one, I was like, oh, this feels like gutty. This feels like the one. And then the person called me for a phone interview and she was like, do you know who this is? And immediately I knew her voice and I was like, oh my God.
You didn't know she worked there?
I didn't know she worked there.
I didn't know the person I knew worked there either. It wasn't until I turned up for the interview and she opened the door and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like the fact that I'm now one module away from being a qualified holistic counsellor, like
Full
circle. That 6 degrees of separation, how we met, how we, we're crossing paths.
How we knew each other before we knew each other.
Yeah, how we knew each other before we knew each other. Perfect. So I think it's time to record the next one because that's just brilliant.
So perfect.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.
To be continued.
Love you.